Live from Trier Rink in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, this is the 2023 Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. Here now is the voice of the Iowa Wild, Ben Gislason.
Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase here in St. Paul. I'm Ben Gislason, joined by Dave Schwartz, and as we open this showcase, the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild coming your way here on YouTube and Wild.com. Dave, this is really, in many senses, the beginning of the hockey season, though some fans might be thinking, well, that's not true. It is for all of us here with the Wild organization, and there's just tons of excitement in the building tonight.
There really is. We've heard so much about these prospects over the last couple of years. This class of players coming up, and we know that Bill Guerin has every intention of having these players filter up through the lines and add to the complement here in Minnesota. So it's going to be really exciting to see what these players can do, some of them taking the ice here for the first time.
It is a very robust group of prospects that we will see for the Minnesota Wild, and the man chiefly responsible for the development of these players is first-year head coach of the Iowa Wild, Brett McLean. He spent the past 3 seasons here with Minnesota. Let's hear what he had to say before puck drop tonight. How much fun have you had already this week going into some big games this weekend?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great with all the prospects and trying to as best we can make this a team before our first game, and the young men have done a great job of that. Obviously, for our staff to get together for the first time and to work with all the prospects. It's been a lot of fun. Really looking forward to tonight.
There's a lot of teaching that happens in this week too. It's not just go out and play. How much will evaluation tonight be about watching what the players have learned, or is it more about watching their skill?
Well, certainly part of one of the skills that we look for is can you play with your individual skill within our team structure. So part of what we'll be looking at is hockey IQ, and can they play Minnesota Wild type hockey and show us their own personal skill.
There's been a lot of chatter about the superb prospect pool that is the Minnesota Wild organization right now. You have the chief responsibility of the development of these players. You know these players. You've watched them. You're now meeting them this week. A lot of them you've known before. What words describe this prospect pool, do you think, as a theme goes?
Well, definitely skill stands out. There's skill and speed. There's a lot of that, and our practices have been very high paced, and that's a credit to the players. So, and then the other thing is they're really quality young men, and that's a credit to our scouting staff, and that they've obviously identified good people, and it's a real priority we put with the Wilds at all levels, and so that's certainly stood out here so far.
Lastly, Brett, I know you're a team-first guy, but for you tonight, taking the helm really as a head coach for the first real game, if you want to call it as a head coach in your coaching career, if you had a moment to think about, maybe it will be pretty special stepping behind the helm for the first time tonight?
Yeah, there's no question that the one thing that I know as a head coach is that it's always about your staff. So I'm I couldn't be any more excited about the staff we put together, and so really for me it's about working with them tonight and getting into our rhythm as a staff, but certainly being the one to kind of have the final say on the lines and things of that nature will be new, and there'll be some challenges that come with it, and I'm sure there'll be some mistakes along the way that are made, and hopefully not too many, and they're not too noticeable, but definitely I'm looking forward to this first one here tonight.
How much fun have you had already? Some thoughts from new head coach of the Iowa Wild, Brett McLean, who will be at the helm behind the bench of the Minnesota Wild prospects here tonight at the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. Ben Gislason, Dave Schwartz. You're looking at Brett McLean and Patrick Dwyer to the right, Ben Simon to the left. Those will be the men responsible for developing these young players, and this is the first foray for a lot of these draft picks, for these invitees here at the showcase to wearing a Minnesota Wild logo. But before we dive into the players, the namesake for this showcase, in its third year now, the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase, remembering TK, remembering Tom Kurvers, who spent 3 seasons here with Minnesota as an assistant GM, also the GM of the Iowa Wild. He passed away with a cancer back in 2021, and someone not only that left an indelible mark on the sport of hockey because of the incredible player he was, a Hobey Baker winner, a longtime NHLer, a Stanley Cup champion, but also just an incredible human being. His family out on the ice right now to drop the ceremonial puck drop.
He's just a great guy, and you'll hear later on, everybody who came in contact with him would say the same thing. Very humble. I remember running into him into the press box and chatting with him and having him just talk hockey. He loves to talk hockey. A wealth of knowledge, everything from high school, college, all the way up when he was a scout. He would talk about all of it with anybody, and you could pick his brain. I thoroughly enjoyed getting to know him through that and getting to talk to him when we'd come to practice as well.
His wife, Heather, sons Weston, Roman, and daughter Rose out to drop the puck. Great to have them here as TK's legacy lives on. And new to the showcase this season, the St. Louis Blues are here, and previously it's been just the Blackhawks and the Wild. As we take a look at the showcase schedule coming up this weekend, obviously tonight the Blues and the Wild. Tomorrow, will we see the debut of first overall pick Connor Bedard, or will they wait until Sunday? Minnesota Wild fans will hope until Sunday, but a couple of great games coming up for Minnesota here against St. Louis and Chicago. And a good game tomorrow, too, but we're going to talk tonight about the Wild. And we're getting ready to rock here from Trio Rink.
A bit of a question as to where Bedard's going to play. We've heard that one a couple times already.
Well, we are off and into the unknown of night one here at the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. Sit back and enjoy. Wild and Blues hockey is underway. It'll begin with the Blues back in their own zone. Matt Kessel turns one over, a slick toe drag move by Kessel, and he'll cruise away to center. Pass in for Nikita Alexandrov, who played a good amount of games with the Blues last year at the National League level. Kessel's wrist shot blockered away, and a second chance is denied by the spectacular prospect goaltender Jesper Wallstedt. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about him in the open. Jesper, one of the best seasons the Iowa Wild have ever seen in their nets last year, set a rookie wins record of 18, and he comes up with 2 great saves, including that rebound on the doorstep to start the night. He's dialed in right off the hop.
And with plenty of traffic in front of them, clearly they're trying to screen him a little bit. Not a problem for him. Saw the puck the whole way, looked very comfortable.
Already been a couple of heavy hits early in this game. People wonder, I think, when you walk in here, are you going to see a real hockey game? And if you talk to anybody downstairs on either side, St. Louis or Minnesota, the answer is yes.
These guys are trying to make the roster. They're making a case for themselves and put good things on tape. So they're trying their best here.
Centering feed, they're looking for Riley Heidt. Came off the stick of Casey Dornbach, the Edina Minnesotan. Nicely poked, checked away, back to the right point. Wrist shot from Simon Johansson is wide of the net. Dornbach goes to get it. He'll leave it off for Rasmus Kumpelainen, one of 4 centers drafted in the 2023 NHL draft by Bill Guerin and the Wild this past summer. A tall drink of water as well is Kumpelainen, standing at 6'3".
You can just hear these boards rattle every time that there's anything in the corner, the big, heavy hits.
Now Kessel looks rink wide to center. Ryan O'Rourke of Minnesota steps up. Now Mikhail Abramov shuttling in behind the net for St. Louis, throws a body check on O'Rourke. 18-10 to play here in the first period. We will play 3 full 20-minute periods here in St. Paul. If you're just joining us, Game 1 of the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase here at Trio Rink in St. Paul. Should be a dandy weekend ahead, and it's a pleasure to have you with us here this weekend. Ben Gislason and Dave Schwartz providing the sights and sounds here from St. Paul tonight. As we get a look at Caleb Parker. Swerves out of his own zone, finds Louis Boudon, the Frenchman, not French-Canadian, which is normally what you hear when you hear names like Boudon, but he was born in Grenoble, France. AHL contract signing for the Iowa Wild this season. Now Damon Hunt for the Wild, back behind his own net, takes a crunching hit from Sam Bitten of St. Louis, up the near wall, and a heavy hit thrown by Leo Love, and now responding to the hit is Brett Budgell of Minnesota. The other way, a chance for St. Louis is denied by Jesper Wallstedt. Creeping into the left circle was Bitten of St. Louis, and we have a whistle on the play.
That was McGuire down there for quite a bit. Not sure if he was really shaken up or looking for a call, but yeah, listen, it's the prospect showcase for the referees as well. I thought maybe you could probably have called something there, but I guess they're going to let him play.
Great look at another 10-bell stop from Jesper. who's already kicked aside 3 shots in this young hockey game of ours here in St. Paul. By the way, speaking of the referees, Andrew Brueggemann and Tony Check are the refs. Nick Bradshaw and Sam Schakowsky are the linesmen. Used to play AAA hockey with Andrew Brueggemann back in the day.
I was going to ask, are they Prospect officials, or are these the real deal?
A few of those names I do recognize from the American Hockey League, so you could say that as well. Prospect officials here with us tonight. Offside against the Blues will stop play. Getting a look there at Zachary Bolduc, who is one of the players that I know the Blues organization is most excited about. Bolduc, a Memorial Cup champion in 2023, CHL second team All-Star, and a couple of years ago he led the QMJHL in rookie scoring with 30 goals. So he's one of a lot of prospects, whether it's in green or in white and blue tonight, that a lot of scouts, whether you're wearing a Blue Note or a Wild logo, you're excited to watch here this evening.
Yeah, just so many, and guys that I think some people their names they may have recognized for their time in the NHL, and guys that we will hear about this year in the NHL.
Another strong stop from Volstead on a point shot that came through off the tape of Michael Bushinger. Got redirected in front as well. Sammy Walker for Minnesota knocks down Bushinger into the high slot. A wrister that hit a defenseman on its way to net. Vadim Zhurenko getting the start tonight for this St. Louis Blues Prospect Club. 7th round pick of the Blues. He scampers out of his net but can't get that wraparound. Johansson tries to pinch for Minnesota but loses it. Hit thrown by Dornbach. There's a healthy whack in on the hands as well of Mitch Holscher of the Blues, and now a loose puck back in front of the bench of Drew Bannister, the head coach of the Springfield Thunderbirds, the AHL affiliate of St. Louis. He'll watch on as he coaches his prospects here tonight. Behind the net of Volstead is Ryan O'Rourke. Up ahead for Riley Height. Gets it back from Kumpalainen. Now it's Casey Dornbach shuffling into the right circle. He'll jet his way back. A reverse down the wall. Height across. Here's Kalen Parker. He'll find Damon Hunt creeping down from his point posture. Hunt back to the blue line. Parker swims along. Dornbach will spike one down into that near corner. Kumpalainen uses his frame but can't shield the puck away. And a breakout pass off the tape of Mikhail Abramov is out to center, and the Blues plunge the puck in 5 minutes into the first.
I feel like we're seeing just a little bit of nerves here. Some of the passes maybe not as crisp as they could be, just a little bit away from the tape, not taking the right carom off the wall that they're looking for.
Let's not forget, really the first competitive bit of hockey just about all these players have played in quite some time. Tie up along the near wall. Servac Petrovsky there for Minnesota. Deals it away back into the Blues zone. The defenseman Love ahead, intercepted by Carson Lambos, first round pick of Minnesota. Lots of eyes on him here this weekend, selected 26th overall in 2021. Here he is, Lambos with a wrist shot and a glove save by Zhurenko. And when you think about Carson Lambos and you read scouting reports, you'll read that. A great point shooter, has his head up all the way, and a great example of finding a lane. We're gonna see a great angle of it here.
Yeah.
There's the lane, he gets it through, a great point shot, and oftentimes those wind up in rebounds. It was well played by Zhurenko.
And that pass, not perfect coming across the blue line either. To his back foot, he had to kick it out there. So good presence there to hold in and get the shot off.
D-zone draw for the Blues, won by Zach Dean, the Grand Prairie Albertan. Notched in off the paddle of Jesper Volstead, the talisman goaltender in his second year pro. Selected in the first round by Bill Guerin. And this Minnesota Wild team, as Carson Lambos steps back in, looks towards the net, it deflects to the back post. Carson Latimer was there for Minnesota. It was excellently tied up by the man wearing the C for St. Louis, Nikita Alexandrov. But slowly and surely, Minnesota starting to churn and garner some scoring opportunities here, Dave. Yeah,
and having a watchful eye from the general manager, Bill Guerin, getting a really good look. Sitting up there with Mike Murray as well. There's so much to look at, I think, through the prospect tournament, through camp. So much that has to be processed before you figure it out. So he's going to take notes on everybody.
Mike Murray, general manager of the Iowa Wild. We will hear from Mike. He'll stop by in between the second and third periods here in St. Paul. Right now, no score as Sammy Walker tramples in. Johansson looking near side. That hit Hunter Haight at the far post. Now Haight below the goal line. Wrapped around by Maxim Chaykovich, who came over in that Pat Maroon trade from Tampa Bay. Height, back post chance, terrific save by Jurenko on Sammy Walker, point blank. Now O'Rourke bombs away from the blue line, and Vadim Jurenko looking sharp early.
I love the way Sammy Walker plays hockey. I loved watching him last year. Billy Guerin talks to him a little bit about having a little, he says it is bleep you to his game. We'll leave it at that. But you can see it. He plays out there like he owns the place, like he runs it, and every shot should be his. I think he might have wanted that one back. It was so close. Great save, though.
Sammy Walker, 27 goals for the Iowa Wild last season, and I saw all 27 of them doing their games, and he is a tremendous talent, and at just 174 pounds, he's not afraid to go into those dirty areas, and that's a little bit of what I think Bill Guerin's talking about.
Plays bigger than he is.
13:15 to play here in the first. Nothing on the board on either side. The Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues here tonight at Tria Rink in St. Paul. The Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase trundling along. Now Damon Hunt, who Minnesota Wild fans should keep an eye on. He could very likely be a big-time call-up on the defensive side for the Minnesota Wild this season when they need a body. If you ask him, though, he's planning on making the team right out of camp. I've heard that from him, and that's the attitude that Bill Guerin wants from his young prospects. Kicked along through center off the right skate of the Russian Abramov, and Carson Lambos will deliver one to his partner Landon Kozier. Lambos ahead. Height bumps it along. Here's Petrovsky barreling across the blue line, takes a wrist shot. That one's parried away by Jurenko. Second bid comes in by Pavel Novak. That one's also turned aside. Now David Spacek at the right point with a wrist shot. Jurenko never saw it, and it drifts up into the mesh and out of play. Our first look at David Spacek here tonight. First real chance he's helped develop. Another look at Louis Boudon there. A couple of guys in Spacek and Boudon who I don't think people know a lot about. Specifically Boudon was just an AHL contract guy, but I've heard out of the mouth of Brett McLean he's excited about what Boudon could bring to the AHL and really excited about David Spacek, not only what he can bring to the ice, but his lineage with his father, Yaroslav.
And they both have great hockey sense. You can tell very, very quickly right there, taking the body instead of getting caught up into the puck to make sure that there's not a great scoring chance there.
Nullified a pretty threatening look there for Alexis Bonifant of St. Louis. And this game stays scoreless, closing into halfway gone here in period one from St. Paul. Pass intercepted at center by Latimer, laid offside, and he'll have to backtrack. Jeremy Biakabatuka for St. Louis, the son of Tim Biakabatuka, the former Carolina Panther running back. Some people might remember that name.
Well, he wasn't as big as his son, I'll tell you that. He is huge.
Biakabatuka standing at 6'4", 203. Wow. Turnover. Wild with a chance. Dornbach had it paddled away. He'll swing one back towards the middle. It's intercepted by Marc-Andre Godet. Numbers ahead for the Blues. Here's Bolduc. Drops it for Dean. He lost it. And now the Wild will spin around and go off to the races the other way. Here's Carson Latimer out of Surrey, British Columbia. That one gets deflected and a little lollipop into the glove of Jurenko, and he'll grab a whistle at 11:02 here of a scoreless first.
You and I talked about this a bunch, Ben, that this defensive core and a lot of these guys we're going to see tonight are going to eventually make the trip up here to St. Paul. And they're very, very stout back there. Wallstedt is not really having to work terribly hard other than maybe that first couple shots
that we saw. Early flurries, but they've really steadied the ship since then.
Yeah, they have come as good as advertised.
Wild win the draw. Johansson's shot. That one hit something in front. Might have been Hunter Haight. Just wide goes that shot. Johansson holds the line for this Wild back end. And now out of their own zone come the Blues. Galloping ahead across the red line is Tanner Dickinson. Tried to feed one to the middle. Behind the net, here's Heimer. Wraparound chance in front, and a dragging left skate save by Jesper Wallstedt, and another incredible stop on Matthias Leferrier in front. Point-blank robbery by Jesper Wallstedt, and this building says thank you.
I don't think Wallstedt knew where that was before he turned it. He was on his backside coming across as he makes that save. He's barely up and he makes that save. What a great play. We've talked about this, how good he is, his presence, where he knows where he is in the crease. He anticipates every shot. That's just a great play.
A super stop from a super netminder in Jesper Wallstedt, who has been brilliant early in this game. The Wild did take a penalty on that play. An interference call going to Simon Johansson. So the Wild penalty kill will go to work for the first time here tonight. 10:20 to play in a scoreless first. And the Blues were just denied on the best scoring chance of the game on either side. Now it's Bolduc for the Blues. Corralled along the left wall by Dean. He'll spin it back to Bolduc. Bolduc to the point. Held by Michael Buschinger to the right circle. Here's Bolduc, tried to shoot. Nice stick from Ryan O'Rourke. And it's delved out to center. Good start for the PK of Minnesota.
And you can't imagine these guys have had a ton of work together, so very impressive how they're staying in their lanes, staying in the box, not overcommitting to every shot that comes out.
Talking to Brett McLean earlier today, this week, as much as it is about taking stock on what you have skill-wise, there's a lot of teaching that happens. But to your point, Dave, they've essentially had 2 days. So there will be a decent amount of freelancing, I think, that happens both on the power play for St. Louis here and the penalty kill for Minnesota. Now Holscher for the Blues. Down behind the net, Dickinson spears it along. He'll get it back in the left corner. Centers in front. Here's Buschinger, and a chance that gets deflected up and out of play. Pardon, that was Holscher. And it wasn't Wallstedt needed on that. Twice now we've seen David Spacek in the right place at the right time. A terrific stick by Spacek there.
And these guys have all played at high level. They understand the what you're supposed to do on the power play. But he, again, doesn't overcommit, doesn't get too far out, just blocks that shot.
Power play continuing for another 36 seconds. Shot to the net, knocked down and held by Wallstedt. And a little extra umbrage coming from this. Kian Washkarik of St. Louis was camped out in front, right on the front lawn of Jesper there. He sorted it out and then got some help from his defenders. Now 34 clicks to go in the penalty to Johansson.
Gotta love the trust that he has, Wallstedt, in his defense. Sits there, waits, and then just nicely slides out of the crease, fixes the hair under the helmet, and he's ready to go.
Loose puck, corralled by Lambos, who is as sturdy as they come, coming out of junior. A staggering plus 60 last season, his plus minus with the Winnipeg Ice, who were quite a team to be dealt with in the WHL. Lost in the finals to Seattle. As Holscher's back in, a slippery move in front. Wallstedt's there again with the poke check, and his night stays blemish-free. And the Wild penalty kill gets it done with some terrific goaltending by Jesper Wallstedt. And it's back to even strength hockey here with 8:28 to play in a still goalless first period.
A really great power play. You can't really ask for a whole lot more than that. Limit the shots, limit the scoring chances, get the puck out of the zone, and kill it.
Ryan O'Rourke thrashes away from a forecheck, can't get it past Kessel at the line. Loose puck knocked away behind the net. Here's Abramov. He'll rattle it around for Kessel at the blue line. Kessel back down low. Abramov takes a hit in the pants from behind by Parker. Back to Kessel, walking the tightrope into the high slot through traffic and wide of the cage. Scooped up by Parker of Minnesota. The Quebec, Saskatchewan-born defenseman who played for Victoria in the WHL. Dumps this puck in behind Jurenko's net.
Got 6th-round pick of the Wild. Getting a good look at him here tonight, as well as just a lot. You know, this first period so far, it hasn't been the crispest, but very physical. Wild having some pretty good scoring chances.
And some good goalkeeping both ways. Might be needed again here as Bolduc is in. He centers, nicely tied up. Spacek defending. He'll join the rush, 3-on-2. Casey Dornbach slides it across. Spacek's one-timer is denied by Jurenko, as both of these goalies dueling early in night one here at the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase.
And that's not an easy shot for Spacek. He makes it look easy, but as it comes across, he's going backwards and then has to turn his momentum to get the puck towards. It goes right into his chest, but that's not an easy shot as you're moving backwards and the puck coming to you.
Let's not forget who broke that play up to start that rush and then joined it. It was Spacek. Lambos can't hold the line. Johansson can't either. He does deny what would have been a 2-on-0 rush the other way. Alexandrov, a nice pass. Looking for Bolduc there was Buschinger. It was out of his reach. Lambos with a terrific read. He intercepts and hoists one away to center. Riley Height speedily working his way. He got behind a man, drew a penalty as now Kumpalainen will center. Lambos' wrist shot is high and wide. Riley Height was drafted early for a reason, second-round pick in this most recent draft out of Prince George in the WHL. Electrifying speed, we're told, and that was what we saw right there, drawing that penalty.
Well, it looks like we're watching the Canadian Football League. He basically got tackled from behind, and that's a great call. He had the separation, probably not a whole lot at that point that the St. Louis defender could have done other than just try to take him down. And now we'll see what we can do. I'm very impressed so far with the offensive skill of the defense, how well they handle the puck, how well they shoot the puck. That should really interesting to see how this works out here for the power play.
Face-off coming up here to the left of Vadim Zherenko. Has been flawless so far, as has his counterpart Jesper Volstad at the other end. And both teams trading power plays here in the first. Wild looking to find a safe harbor out of their own zone here. Relentless forechecking by the penalty kill of St. Louis. Kumpalainen, the Finnish-born center, back for Damon Hunt. He'll leave it off to Kumpalainen, to his right for Maxim Chaykovich. Crisscrosses along to the near wall. Sammy Walker back for Chaykovich, now to the blue line, Hunt. Stepping down the wall is Hunter Haight. Curls in towards the net. He found a stick at the back post, and Kumpalainen just couldn't redirect it home. Now Chaykovich in for Haight, out for Chaykovich. 1:08 to go in the first power play of the night for Minnesota. Hunt for Chaykovich, swing and a miss. It comes off the back wall. Walker tried to get to it, but it was sprung away and then cleared down the ice by the Waterloo Ontarian Kian Washkurik.
Good pressure, Kumpalainen out front. That's exactly how you want to play that. If you're going to play kind of an umbrella power play like they were, a guy who's 6'3", put him right in front of the goalie. That's why they got a good scoring chance.
5:24 to play here in a scoreless first. Tight one so far here in St. Paul. Wild in the midst of their first power play, 35 to go in it. Riley Haight with his head up, scans and finds the Frenchman Louis Boudon. Back for Lambeau, spot checks, one-timer, that was a bullet. It hit Boudon on the way in, right in the wrist, ouch. That thing had a vapor trail behind it.
It was going, yeah. That hurt, and you could see him wave his hand around the second it hit it.
Lambeau has a one-time option, it's Haight, then a shot that's blocked. Riley Haight let it go, and a gallant shot block by Marc-Andre Gaudette of St. Louis. And both teams get power plays. Both teams come up empty as play returns to 5-on-5 with 4:40 to play here in the first. Carson Latimer with a few slippery moves. Notched away, and now numbers ahead for St. Louis. Here's Bolduc traipsing in. Looks to pull the trigger, had his stick break. Nice stick on that shot attempt by Ryan O'Rourke. Brett Budgel carving ahead for Minnesota. He took a high stick, and that got called. Matt Kessel is going to go to the sin bin, so back-to-back power play opportunities. Much like St. Louis on their first man advantage, Minnesota had some chances. They'll look to find a way past Vadim Zherenko here on this second power play, and if there was blood on the high stick to Budgel, it'll be 4 minutes, and that is indeed the case. A 4-minute high sticking minor, which will mean Minnesota has a chance to finish this period on the man advantage. Well,
4:15 here, yeah. A 4-minute penalty for drawing blood. No choice in the call.
Saw a lot of one-time opportunities on the last power play. We'll see what Brett McLean has in store now. Walker towards the crease, misses Kumpalainen's stick. Pretty clear what they're looking to do with the Finlander in front. Use that 6'3" frame and park it. Now it's Hunt, waltzing the blue line. Chaykovich stepping in, takes a shot. That hit 3 bodies and is corralled by Alexandrov of St. Louis and punched down the ice with 3:33 to go in this power play for Minnesota.
And credit where credit's due. St. Louis is doing a nice job of clogging up the passing lanes while still staying committed and disciplined in the penalty kill.
Bouncing puck, knocked down by the second-round pick in 2023, Rasmus Kumpalainen. Off for Chaykovich. Top of the umbrella for Damon Hunt. Chaykovich crisply across. Walker finds Hunt. Walker calling for it, but Hunt will shoot it. Deflected in front. Stop made by Zherenko, who's been just sturdy so far tonight. Kumpalainen behind the net. Up for Walker. He'll pedal back down the wall. Walker curves off a stick check, banks it back to Hunt. Along for Chaykovich. Now for Hunt. Into the circle. Walker's wrister knocked down and held by Jurenko again. Good puck movement, but there just wasn't quite enough traffic. Jurenko got to see that shot all the way. Pretty simple save there for the Russian.
Yeah, and I think Kumpalainen was on the wing over here. Maybe wanted to try to get that off a one-timer, but couldn't handle it. But great patience. The puck movement by the Wild, not panicking, not taking bad shots, but just waiting and waiting and waiting for the best opportunities.
Good to see Louis Boudon back out here for this power play after taking a rocket from David Spacek on that last power play off the wrist. 2:34 to go.
I have a feeling he'll feel that one a lot more tomorrow morning.
We'll probably be seeing it. A little bit of ice on the hand likely tomorrow. Here on the ice right now at Tria Rink in St. Paul, a scoreless game. Wild in the midst of their second power play. It's a 4-minuter. Great toe save on Boudon by Jurenko, who keeps up a tremendous first period. And another clear from the Blues, whittling this power play down to a regular minor. 2:07 to go in their second penalty kill of the night here for the visitors.
He didn't miss by much, and you said toe save. That was very much a toe save.
Right off the toe cap. And that'll be it for the power play, a tripping call. Going to be assessed here to Minnesota. And it's going to go on Riley Height. And that'll do it for 5-on-4 play. Now we'll get to really see this exuberant skill of Minnesota and St. Louis with some 4-on-4 play. Lots of space out there for both teams to work with.
Someone's going to crack through here. You know, both teams really doing a nice job of pressure, but both goalies just standing very, very tall. I still think that Wallstedt has not had to work as hard. He's made some great saves, but Minnesota's defense really has just been challenging every shot, not letting them all get through.
So to the right of Jesper Wallstedt, things begin. 2:05 to play here in a scoreless first period. Dave Schwartz to my left. I'm Ben Gislason. It's a pleasure to have you with us here tonight. Downtown St. Paul at Tria Rink, the practice home facility of the Minnesota Wild, and just a spectacular setup here for these guys. And no wonder there's prospects that are clamoring to be here and clamoring to play here. It really has become, in a lot of ways, a great destination for players to want to come and play their National Hockey League debuts, or guys like Pat Maroon coming over, excited to be here. He's been around the locker room, has already injected some great culture, I've been told, down to the room. That's what he does oh so well, and really culture is at the forefront of everything Bill Guerin and his staff do. And you could argue the same on your side, the front office side as well. It really is so key to everything that happens with the Minnesota Wild organization, culture.
Well, and the playoff theme last year was grit first. The theme all year was grit first. Bill wants tough guys. Bill wants guys who will do what it takes to win hockey games and whatever it takes, and that's what he's trying to find a couple more of here throughout this weekend.
Wallstedt showing a little agility there on a nifty poke check. Abramov to the net, gets his own rebound and scores. Mikhail Abramov on a bit of a broken play. And finally, after some great scoring chances on either side of the ice, the Blues break loose with Mikhail Abramov, and the first goal of the showcase belongs to the visitors.
We'll get a good look at that. The traffic in front of Wallstedt, I think, is what the problem was as he moved across. I don't think he actually got a great look at the shot. They've been in front of him all night. But, you know, so many rebounds. He's done a nice job so far of rebound control. That one just goes right to the sticks.
Abramov, one of four fourth-year pros on this St. Louis Prospects roster. Minnesota only has a handful of second-year pros. It's a much older prospect team when you look on paper at both of these sides. And Abramov, who played in the American League last year with Toronto, has the first one. It's a 4-on-4 strike. And with 40 seconds to play, St. Louis will try to hold this lead going into the locker room for the first intermission. Zachary Bolduc will pick up the primary assist on that tally. Here's Tanner Dickinson back in. That one's harbored away by the right pad of Jesper Wallstedt. Knocked away by Ryan O'Rourke. Ahead for the dashing skates of Hunter Haight. Flying into the zone. O'Rourke's wrist shot. That one soaring over the crossbar. O'Rourke snaps one back in for Haight. Knocked away Dickinson. 7 seconds to go here in the first. And quite a spirited opening period here at the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase ends with a lead for St. Louis courtesy of Mikhail Abramov. But that was a very entertaining first, Dave. I don't think we could have asked for more gusto from either team. Clearly, you can tell everybody's excited to be here and excited to be playing hockey.
A lot of physical play as we expected, a lot of end-to-end hockey. We've talked about the defense. They played very well other than just that one little play in front, but it's certainly not insurmountable, only 1-0 at the end of one.
On our way to break, when we come back, Director of Amateur Scouting for the Minnesota Wild, Judd Brackett, joins us. Don't move. Plenty more coming your way here from St. Paul next. On camera here. Hello again, hockey fans, and welcome back to Tria Rink in St. Paul. A 1-0 lead for the St. Louis Blues prospects over the Minnesota Wild. And Gislason back here now, joined by Director of Amateur Scouting for the Minnesota Wild, Judd Brackett. 1 period in the books. Let's talk about that first period. There's undoubtedly going to be some sloppy play. It's really the first competitive game a lot of these players have played in a long time. But what were your takeaways to the opening 20 minutes?
Look, it's always exciting to see these guys together, and you know, some sloppiness is expected, right? They haven't played together. There's some nerves. For some of these guys, first time really putting the sweater on and representing the Wild. So to be expected, but some puck movement on the power play, which was good. Build a little momentum that way, and hopefully take it into the second period.
4 years of building this prospect pool. Where did it start? What was the idea? What were the discussions that happened at the beginning of it all? Because you're looking back at it now and we're seeing the fruits of the labor. One of the best prospect pools ranked in the entire National Hockey League. Where did it all begin? Take us back to the brainchild of how you build something like this.
Look, it starts with our leader, right? Bill Guerin's our leader, and and he's got clear directives for us and what we're looking for in players. Certainly the hallmarks of any Minnesota Wild team while he's here is going to be compete in hockey sense, and we're going to blend in some skill and speed with that as well. So we've tried to address the prospect pool. We're always looking for high character kids that compete hard, that have skill, have vision, good teammates, and then they're certainly coachable, which is what we want at this age.
You and I always get to catch up typically 2 times a year, maybe 3, sometimes during the American League when you're around, but it's development camp and the showcase. Development camp is a blast. You get everybody in, but does this feel like the Super Bowl for guys like you on the scouting side to see all your prospects under one hub like this?
Yeah, I mean, the Super Bowl for us is probably the actual draft day, but getting to see everybody here, with the development staff, with some of the amateur staff here today too. So it's always great. It's a great kickoff for us. We were out watching the North American Hockey League Showcase this week, so this is the beginning of our season. So this is opening night for us in a lot of ways, and getting to see our players play together and the progress they made over the summer is always really important.
Judd Brackett, Director of Amateur Scouting for the Minnesota Wild, joining us here in between periods. Let's talk about that Super Bowl Draft Day 2023. One thing that stood out for me and for a lot of people, 4 of 6 picks, center iceman. Tell us why.
Well, it's a critical position, right? And it's also it's a position that even sometimes when these guys play center at the junior level or college level, they don't always end up being center. So it's a position that requires a lot of detail, being coachable, understanding systems. So sometimes you might be a center at 18 or 19, and you might not stay there. So you got to take a few swings at it. We addressed some size this year also down the middle, which we think is critical.
One thing that always astounds me, Judd, and I know this starts with Bill Guerin down to Dean Evison, you and your staff, the type of people that come into this locker room. If you're not the right type of kid, you don't last very long here. What are some of the things that you try to snuff out to find, we want this, we want this, we want this, to put together a product not only on the ice but off it that is just a tremendous culture?
Yeah, culture is a buzzword around here and has been from day one. But for us, that extends to the draft. We need high character kids, which means they're going to be coachable, that have a relentless work ethic. Look, we're investing in 17, 18, 19-year-old players, so it's going to be some time before they, make it here and can contribute for this team. So we need to know that they're going to put in that time, that they have that resiliency, that grit factor. It can't just be, puck skills and offensive talent. They have to be able to, to buy in and support each other and be a good teammate.
In today's day and age, it is so easy and accessible to keep your eyes on these players from afar. I know you like to do it in person, but you can watch online. I'm curious, though, when you get here and you see them in the flesh, are there any examples you can think of where a player shows up and you go, man, I didn't know they had that in their skill set?
Yeah, listen, we've got great resources now, and and that's maybe one of the benefits of COVID is that we all got better at using video and our outside resources because we couldn't be in the rink, but nothing you can't put anything in place of being in the rink, being here, watching players, seeing how they react on a bench with their teammates, especially for a defenseman. How do they play? Where are they off pucks? Things you can't pick up on camera. Nothing replaces being in the rink, but it is good to have extra resources too.
You're seeing the evolution of personalities in the game of hockey now. Is there any names that jump to mind when I say who's the biggest personality we're seeing on the ice tonight?
We've got some characters out there. Damon Hunt comes to mind. He certainly beats to his own drum. But I mean, look at the body on him. Physically, he's really matured and taken a big step. Yeah, he's got his own personality. That's for sure.
Last question for you. I always like to ask you the restaurant. What few people know unless they read Michael Russo's article, which was just so terrific. Tell me more about what's the best item on the menu you think right now at your restaurant out east.
Listen, we have a pistachio encrusted halibut that's been our best seller for 22 years. Anytime we ever say we're going to take it off, we have a borderline revolt, so we can't do it. But the tuna is also, it's right there. It's seared, served rare. It's beautiful. So it's a good spot, and I know Mike Russo's done a great job. He's been our biggest promoter around.
Well, my mouth's watering already. Judd, thanks so much for this time, and congratulations on another successful Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll look forward to seeing you here down the road.
Thanks for having me.
That's Director of Amateur Scouting for the Minnesota Wild, Judd Brackett. Now let's toss it to a becoming Wild that ran during last season on the Iowa Wild.
Not really relied upon to score every night, but something I am relied on is bringing energy and getting the boys going.
The Wild right to left, and we're off here in GR.
Get to work, Green, eh? Gotta put some pucks on net. Let's go here.
It's been so fun so far. The guys are awesome. Hockey's been great, obviously. It's been a blast. I mean, I'm loving the pro life so far.
Right up, right up!
Kind of went all summer not knowing where I was going to go, where I was going to play, and then at the end of the summer they were signed with the Wild, and that was obviously an amazing dream come true.
Turned over, here's Beckman right down Broadway, he scores!
Yeah! Come on, Nick! Hello, Becky!
Obviously, as a player, he's doing awesome. He's just continues to find ways to, score and make plays, and I think that, he's doing a lot of the right things, and it's fun to play with him for sure.
Hey, Marco, let's do that low play.
Yeah, but hold on to the puck for let's get set, and then once we get moving, then it'll work.
It's really fun. I mean, the first time I've met him was in San Jose, and we just could see from there our connection on the ice is really good and off the ice too. Yeah, we always try to look for each other and make some plays.
Like you kind of just hang out with it, wait till he gets in it, and then you go to the net.
I mean, they're smart players, and they know what they're doing, and I'm just kind of trying to learn and read off them and just use my speed and get open, and they're pretty good at getting me the puck.
Middle blue line, Hickett's left circle, it's Walker all the way across. Patan's one-timer scores! A bullet from Nick Patan and a dazzling cross-dot feed from Sammy Walker.
Hi, Petey. Nice shot, dude.
Sammy Walker leads the Iowa Wild. He's #1 in the American Hockey League in rookie scoring, and tonight the former Golden Gopher captain makes his NHL debut.
It was game day. We were in Rockford. I had just got off the ice, and coach just called me in and said, you're going up and playing against Vancouver. So, yeah, I didn't really know what to say. I was like, it was amazing, obviously, incredible. And I don't even think I napped that day. I usually nap most game days just because I was so wired and ready to go. It was so cool, just like all the guys were so welcoming.
We got Spurgey! Hey! Mitzi! Hey! Gus kicking!
They obviously know, like, your first game, you got nerves and everything, and they're just, play your game, you'll be fine. Yeah, that was awesome.
This game has changed in a hurry. 1:48 to go here in the second period. The third shorthanded goal of the season for the Griffins, and just the fourth the Wild have allowed. This game may go locked up into the third.
They got 2 goals, tied it up there, kind of put us on our heels a little bit.
Blue line drop pass, Patan back to Walker, they score! An answer from Sammy Walker, and it's a 3-2 game. Mikey Milne to double the lead, to the left circle, shoots near side, and scores! There's a rebound, they score! It's the former Griffin, Patrick Curry, with an insurance goal late in the third. It's 3 in a row for Iowa as the march towards the top of the Central Division continues.
Patty, big goal. Becky, good opening goal, but Zahner kept
Typically, the Benny and the Jet goes to the guy who set the pace for the game, who's up and down the rink. So it's kind of me and Joe and some of the other veterans laugh when the rookies give it to a goalie because those guys aren't setting the pace up and down the rink.
Big W, boys. Let's get after it Friday.
Yeah!
Hey, hell of a way to start this mini-series here. This one's going to Mickles.
And then you got the boxing jacket there, which kind of like the hard-nosed player, the guy who was bringing it in all areas of the ice.
Let's do it again Friday.
Terrific stuff there from Brandon McCauley and the Wild Digital team. Brandon also doing our producing tonight here on the broadcast. Hope you're enjoying the journey so far. And the reason we're all here, yes, to see the prospects, but to honor a terrific man, a terrific hockey player in Tom Kurvers, the former assistant GM of the Minnesota Wild and GM of the Iowa Wild. Again, that digital team of ours put together an incredible tribute to Tom. Let's sit back and enjoy and remember a great man in TK.
Born and raised in the state of hockey, Tom Kurvers found success at every stage of his hockey career.
From the University of Minnesota Duluth, Tom Kurvers.
He was probably one of the most gifted offensive hockey players that I ever had a chance to coach. 76 points in 43 games was phenomenal.
Tom holds virtually every career scoring record for Duluth defensemen.
His senior year was magical. All the team success we had, I think he was the league MVP, the Hobie Baker Award winner, and just had an outstanding college career.
Following collegiate success, Kurvers entered the National Hockey League with the Montreal Canadiens in 1984.
For us two to be rookies and break in the way we did, things weren't going great for the Canadiens back, and then to have the season that we did was almost too good to be true.
Cross for Kurvers and the blast scores!
Of all the really good defensemen we had, he was the best power play guy. There's two types of hockey players, the guys who won the Stanley Cup and the guys who wish they did. And Tom and I were part of Group 1.
The Canadiens will win the Stanley Cup!
After an 11-year NHL career, Kurvers began a new hockey chapter, first as a radio broadcaster and later in management with the Coyotes, Lightning, and Minnesota Wild.
When I got involved with the Phoenix Coyotes, Tom was working for the hockey club, and right away our kind of hockey minds together clicked.
Our time in Tampa together, both kind of similar backgrounds as former players, we had certainly a lot in common.
Tom was just such a great listener and always had just great feedback or advice, and I really relied on him a lot.
He was a great hockey player, but he was more than that. He helped people from all walks of life with whatever problems they may present to him. And as a man, I am so proud of him as his father.
I use a handful of words to describe Tom, but the one word that comes to mind above all the rest was humility. Tom led with humility. He had a disdain for arrogance and ego, and if you displayed any of it, you were done.
The big thing about Tom was that he cared. He cared about people.
That was what Tom Kurvers was about. It was never about him. It was what he could do for other people. The last thing he told me, he loved me, and I'll never forget that.
And I just miss him.
Carson Lambos appreciation moment. A couple of really nice shots early on, but he does more than just shoot it. He also is a playmaker. Great pass here to David Spacek, who nearly puts this one in on the back door. Damon Hunt also getting some nice shots from the point. Some really good opportunities for the Wild early on. Again, Spacek here a little bit too high, but St. Louis netminder Vadim Zherenko playing very, very well throughout the first period. Not that the Wild didn't have their chances, Ben, but Zherenko played pretty big.
An excellent first period goaltending-wise, I thought. Jesper had to be polished early.
Yeah.
There was no rest for him coming out of a great offseason, so I've been told that he had over in his homeland of Sweden, but he was sharp right away, came up with some giant stops right off the hop there at the drop of the puck. I think it was not even 20 seconds in, and they were flurrying in front, and then Minnesota found their bearings a little bit, and they put some pressure on Zherenko, and to me, that was the headline of the first period. Goaltending. Blues managed to get one by Jesper. We'll see what happens here in period two.
We got the nerves out of the first period. Now it's time to put some pucks in the net.
Here we are, off and running into the second period. Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase here at Tria Rink in St. Paul. 1-0 lead for St. Louis on a goal by Mikhail Abramov in the final 3 minutes of the first period. Ben Gisselson and Dave Schwartz charting our course through the broadcast here tonight. Pleasure to have you.
Picking up right where they left off in the first period. Physical play. Sure is fun hockey to watch, I'll tell you that.
Loose puck in the left-hand corner, Nikita Alexandrov. 28 games with St. Louis last year. That's the most NHL games of any player on either side of the ice tonight. Sammy Walker, who had some time in the NHL last year for Minnesota, comes in a bit early, and so it is offside against Minnesota.
Hunter Haight trying to drag that leg, but he needed to be about 3 or 4 feet longer to stay on sides.
5'10" legs couldn't quite get it done for him. If that had been Kumpelainen, maybe it would have worked out a little better.
Listen, if I had tried it, I would have been out for the next 3 years. So,
Casey Dornbach sifts a puck in below the goal line. There's Kumpelainen, who I enjoyed some of his play in that first period. Johansson's shot from the point, blockered away by Jurenko. Lambeau centers, knocked away. Trouble brewing as here come the Blues with numbers. 3-on-2, it's Tanner Dickinson. Carving in, slides it to the point. Great back check by Carson Lambeau. He turned it over, he said, it's my mess, I'll clean it up.
Boy, and a heck of a play, because he was all the way down in the corner and took off down there to stop that.
You talk to Carson and he'll tell you. He's a two-way defenseman.
Yeah.
He can get involved in the rush. Did have 48 points in 61 games last year. Not what you'd call an offensive dynamo, but certainly capable on that end. But he is a defense-first guy. He's a shutdown man, and we saw it there. As again, the Wild come in offside. 18-19, the time of the second period here in St. Paul. And really is starting year 3 now. You think about this showcase, adding the Blues. Who knows if maybe there's more teams to join this. It's becoming quite a great tradition here in the early fall. If you want to, is it officially fall yet?
It's fall, yeah. Well, once you turn September over, it feels like it.
Someone at home is going to say it's not fall. It's not officially the fall day yet. But.
Well, there's a little name some people are wondering about, I think, as a part of this showcase. A young man you may have heard of, Connor Bedard.
Added some fanfare, that's
just
for
sure. Just a bit.
Louis Boudon from Minnesota, back for Pavel Novak, just off the near circle, and he couldn't get a piece of it. Caleb Parker, D-to-D, O'Rourke off the back wall. Novak battles it loose. Turned over in the high slot of St. Louis' zone. And shuttling away is Mitch Holscher. He'll chip and chase. Making a hit down deep is Parker. Heavy hit thrown by Kian Washkurik. Another collision between Parker and Washkurik indeed. On his backhand is Attilio Biasca, the Swiss-born forward. This one pops back into the clutches of Volstead, who steers it into the near corner. Louis Boudon there for Minnesota. Nice breakout pass by Parker up the near wall. Look to center by Novak, out of the reach of Petrovsky. O'Rourke can't get it clear of his own line. Sam Bitten, brother of Will Bitten, former Minnesota Wild property, now playing with the St. Louis Blues. Wrist shot from the point, good stop Volstead, second chance, and another stunning save by Jesper Volstead after the point shot went skimming loose, and it was the Swiss-born Biasca who was stymied on that far post. A tremendous stop from the second-year pro Jesper Volstead. My stars.
And he's showing that he'll be aggressive when he needs to. He can sit in the net, but he'll challenge. He really is the best of both worlds when you're thinking of goaltenders, as a guy who's fundamentally sound, but also not afraid to jump out of the crease to make a play.
Minnesota with a few leaks in the dam here defensively early in this second period. Volstead has been spellbinding at times, and an icing whistle against the Blues will give Minnesota a chance at an offensive zone draw here.
Well, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you also watch us and download the Minnesota Wild app. Make the switch to the new official Minnesota Wild app. It's the must-have source for the latest Wild content, real-time updates, and your ticket to the game. Download now at wild.com/new app.
Just more and more content right in the palm of your hand for these Minnesota Wild.
It is fantastic. Everything is there.
Landon Kozier has the puck deflected out of play on a point shot from the right point. Haven't had a chance yet to get to it. He's been out a few times. One of the big question marks, only because he hasn't played hockey in a long time. Minnesota Wild draft pick from a few years back in Pavel Novak, who had a tremendous amount of steam going in his game with the Kelowna Rockets in the WHL. diagnosed with cancer in May of 2022, beats cancer in October of 2022. 6 months no skating. He gets back on the ice in December. And there is not a happier person maybe in the city of St. Paul right now than Pavel, who's such a great young man getting to play here tonight.
And he's excited to be here. You can tell he's still very crisp. Even though it probably takes some time to work up that speed again, the hockey sense is there. He's in the right place. He's looking to the right spots to pass to or take that shot. It'll probably take a little more time for everything to click, but he certainly looks like he's getting to where he wants to be.
5th round pick of Minnesota back in 2020. His last season, 72 points for the Kelowna Rockets in 62 games out in the Western League. And keep in mind, that was 2 seasons ago, not last year.
And the Western League's not an easy league to play in, especially if you're below 6 feet.
A lot of Western League alums and players in this tournament for Minnesota, 8 to be exact, with WHL ties. Bit of a pipeline there. Judd Brackett and his scouting crew are finding. One of them, Damon Hunt, has it now on the left-hand wall.
That's where you find physical players, and that's what the Wild want. The WHL is noted for a tough league, tough physical play, fighting. That's where you find the guys that'll do what it takes to win.
Here's Matthias Laferriere. Cross-ice pass that finds a wrist shot off the tape of Matt Mayich. That one's gloved by Volstead for a whistle at 15:23.
Quick glove for Volstead, not much of a problem. Again, they're trying to get in front of him. They're trying to take away his vision. You could see Laferriere trying to screen him a bit, but he does a real nice job of seeing through the traffic to making sure that he has a good head up at the shot.
Offensive zone draw, won by St. Louis, a broken stick and a chance the other way. Arguably a 2-on-1 here as Dornbach leaves it. Here's Spacek in the slot and a glove save by Jurenko, and a dandy at that. Well, a bit of misfortune on the blue line there on a one-timer that had a broken stick, and Minnesota counterattacked with some venom, but Jurenko continuing to stand right up with Volstead and say, I can do you one better.
It seems so much that these shots are all coming from the defense, right? Carson Lambos, David Spacek with a great shot there on the, trailing the play. Certainly, there is an effort here to make sure that this defense gets some offense as well.
Spacek has really headlined this night so far on the back end for Minnesota. Chance for height. He'll hold up, feeds it back to no one. Lambos goes to get it. Down behind the net for Dornbach. Great spin move to the crease, and that just nestles wide. Casey Dornbach, much like Louis Boudon, 2 guys that signed AHL deals, but they've got some talent, and they could be some players that fill out that Iowa Wild lineup this season quite nicely.
And Dornbach, a local kid, too.
Volstead,
great cut, great
right
save.
On his angle to make that stop on Washkurik, who might look skyward and think he buried that in the logo a bit, but it's a big logo to hit.
It's all
big
you
goalie
can
in
see.
Jesper. Yes, it is.
Volstead plays his angles so well, and there's so little wasted movement in his game. You know, he is where he needs to be. There's no panic, there's no stress. He just eats up that rebound, which is what you want to do when you have those guys all around you.
Volstead standing at 6'3", big wingspan, long legs. Structure sound as well. That makes up for one of the most exciting prospects in hockey right now. Crunched into the end wall, Louis Boudon for Minnesota. Setting up shop with Petrovsky down there, as is Novak. He'll spear it around to Johansson for his partner Ryan O'Rourke. High slot Petrovsky, and that's into the gullet of Jurenko. And much like what St. Louis is trying to do, getting traffic in front of Volstead. Wild hoping to do that on Jurenko as Novak takes a bit of high glove love there over on the far wall. Little stung is Novak from that. Trying to catch a number there on who threw that. Looks
I can
like
tell you they're not
84,
trading
Sam
recipes.
Bitten.
They're not trading recipes right now, Ben. There's some words being spoken. Jurenko does a really nice job of rebound control, right? He's got someone crossing in front of him at that moment. I think that was Novak, but he just eats it right up. It was Petrovsky. And we've talked a lot about what Volstead has done tonight, but Novak, we're being told, yeah, he did. Novak lost a tooth. What is, yeah, there it goes. So do you put that under the pillow? I mean, what does the tooth fairy visit you when you're in the NHL?
Is there a hockey tooth fairy?
I feel like it would have more money, the NHL tooth fairy.
Well, some work for assistant athletic trainer of the Iowa Wild, Dylan Taylor, to get to work there on the bench.
I don't know.
Novak
He's just
seems
letting that
fine.
go. Yeah, he's fine. He's take the tooth. You can even keep the $5. Just get me back in the game.
Welcome to pro hockey. So, out of all that, without a tooth, the Blues will be without a man for this penalty kill here now. The 4th power play of the game, considering power plays 2 and 3 came all at once on a 4-minute double minor high stick back in the first period. Minnesota had some chances, trying to work one now. Hunter Haight with a beautiful move, and the puck just squirts away. Oh, did he dance Matt Kessel flying in. And Hunter Haight, if you read the papers on him, it's all about speed and skill. We saw it there. Now back the other way is Washkurik on his backhand to his forehand. He scores a shorthanded goal by Kian Washkurik. And hockey's a funny game. How often one chance one way can turn around to be a chance the other way. It was a 2-on-1 rush. And a strange one, because I'm not sure Washkurik got as much on this as he'd like to. See it again here on the instant replay, and I think almost a bit of a change up here. He fans on it, and it slides under the pad of Jesper.
We don't have replay, obviously, but it makes me wonder in the NHL if they would have taken a look at that for goaltender interference. Came in front a little bit, but maybe I'm being a homer.
So Kian Washkurik makes it 2-0 for St. Louis. And it's an unassisted goal to Washkurik. So play resets at 2-0 as Matthias Laferriere is ran into by Louis Boudin. Riley Height gets a loose puck back at neutral. And the Wild will look for an entry. They'll find it on the tape of Carson Lambos. Skims it off the glass down behind the net. Riley Height helps it along to Petrovsky. Power play still with time on it. 25 seconds to go. Lambos loads and fires, and that's right into the blue note on the jersey of Zherenko. Had some steam on it, but didn't have the right sights. A pretty simple stop for Zherenko with 22 seconds to go here in the power play and 12:27 to go here in the second period. 2-0 Blues.
That's a nice shot by Lambos. It's exactly what you want to do. Keep it just about leg pad high. Someone in front. Got a little away from him, but still a good opportunity. But just went right in the chest, and he ate up the rebound.
Wild collect another offensive zone face-off. Alexandrov for St. Louis has it parried away. 10 to go in the man advantage. Lambos holds the line. Dean knocks it down, streaking away to the far blue line is Alexandrov. A great move to get it to his forehand. Petrovsky has to get to him, and he takes a penalty and denies the scoring chance. Falstead wasn't needed there, but St. Louis is going to head to the power play here right as their penalty expires. Bitten is back, and a very brief spell of 5-on-5 play there. Actually 6-on-5 with the net empty at the other end for the delayed penalty. To the penalty box goes Servac Petrovsky, and back to the power play for the 3rd time tonight go the Blues.
Petrovsky doesn't have much of a choice there to try to tie, other than to just try to tie him up, but he gets a little bit inside. That's why he got the call, but
so Minnesota hitting a bit of dire straits here in the second period, desperately needing to get through these next 2 minutes unscathed as Alexandrov surveys the scene and slides one across that misses its intended target. Held at the line by Laferriere. Here's Nikita Alexandrov, incisively in for Laferriere. Popped away by O'Rourke, who gets it back from Budgel and cruises across the blue line. His shot deflected up and out of play. 1:31 yet to go here in this 3rd power play of the night for the visiting Blues. Over the boards, Casey Dornbach and Louis Boudin. Damon Hunt and Simon Johansson on the back end. An incredibly young-looking decor potentially on the way for the Iowa Wild this season. Most of them are here at the prospect tournament.
Yeah, but skilled and talented.
Blues back on the attack with Bolduc. He'll drop it. Bushinger across, and a great spot by Louis Boudin. Alexandrov was poised to send that into a yawning cage had it gotten there. Bushinger back at the point, deflected in front, just wide. That's off the stick of Zach Dean. 1:09 to go in the man advantage. Bushinger. Back for Bolduc, again in turn for Bushinger. He'll wind and fake. Alexandrov into the middle for LaFerriere. That got blocked in front by Damon Hunt. And a bouncing puck helps the Wild out to center with 50 seconds to go, and the penalty to Petrovsky for hooking. Pavel Novak hard off the bench. The now toothless Novak working his way down behind the net, killing some clock on this penalty kill for Minnesota. Brett Budgel will stream away back to center. Spot check with time. Handcuffs Lambos a bit, but he's proven an ability to field a pass about anywhere he gets it. Does it nicely there, and then ladles this puck back down into the blue zone with 18 seconds to go in the power play.
We've talked a lot about how good David Spacek has been tonight, and Carson Lambos has really been equally as good with how he handles the puck, how he generates scoring chances from the blue line. Really impressed with that pairing.
Shouldn't be surprised. Both teams are 0-4 on the power play, but now a breakaway for Sammy Walker. Tried to slide it in to the far side. Did have some stick action coming from behind him there on the back check that made that a little harder for Walker to work with than he would have liked. He was thinking backhand and he couldn't get there.
He made a nice move.
Walker
looked like he had him beat.
To Chaykovich, looking to slide it into the 5-hole. Knockdown, puck is loose, and it's out of harm's way. Minnesota, though, finding a little bit of a foothold here after giving up the second goal of the game. It starts with a Walker breakaway, and it was almost Chaykovich sliding it to the back post.
One of the few times tonight that we've really seen Zherenko get caught out of position a little bit. He was on that breakaway. So they figured out how to move him, which is the most important thing.
9:08 to go here in the second. There's been a notable jump in pace. Here's Chaykovich blazing in, and a shoulder save by Zherenko again. Chaykovich, a stutter step, a backhand saucer pass, finds Johansson, stop again by Zherenko, and he sprawls on the rebound. My goodness, the pace has quickened in a big way here in St. Paul. Minnesota finding what they needed. Some jams, some jazz, and some opportunities. But the Russian goalie, Vadim Zherenko, has been excellent, especially as of late.
They've changed it up a bit. They're floating a forward now because the defense, the Wild, have done such a nice job of moving the puck. So they're floating Sammy up and makes a nice play. Really, I thought that was going to slide in just inside the post.
Almost similarly to the goal scored by Washkurik, where sometimes you can accidentally score like that because the goalie's trying to anticipate what you're going to do too. If I saw Sammy Walker that was thinking backhand from all the way up here, I bet you Vadim Zherenko saw
Probably
it too.
Thought it too.
So much like the Washkurik chance where he doesn't quite do with it what he wants to do with it, sometimes those can sneak by, and that one almost did. The game stays 2-0. St. Louis holding on to this lead, but Minnesota looking the best they've looked all night offensively right now. Here's Casey Dornbach, tried to slide it across, got a caromed puck back, couldn't get the shot off. Now Johansson slaloming in for Minnesota. Riley Height furrows in for it, has his pocket picked by Dean of St. Louis. Alexandrov patiently over for Leo Love. He'll craft it ahead where it's touched in off the tape of Bolduc with 8:28 to play.
We haven't had a ton of stoppages that have necessitated faceoffs, but the Wild seem to have done a pretty nice job of winning them, especially in the offensive zone like they just did there.
Talked about the necessity of having center icemen. Great chance. There's one of them. It's Kupalainen. And a great feed by Dornbach, and Kupalainen just couldn't find the finishing touches on a dazzling feed by the former Edina Hornet Dornbach, and this game is still a 2-goal deficit for Minnesota.
Kupalainen uses what he has, his size, parks it out front, and really great vision by Casey Dornbach to find it, but a great play by Zherenko. He's right on the back door, right hugged up to that post. He's got nowhere to shoot.
Well, the Wild in a hurry have found some moxie offensively, and they have made this stanza of the second the busiest of the evening so far in a small juncture for this Zherenko, but he has stood tall. Wild still looking for their first goal of the showcase, trailing 2-0 here in the second as LaFerriere dribbles across the blue line and blasts one off the pad of Jesper Volsket. Lambos takes a hit in the far corner by Andre Heim of St. Louis, plunges this puck out to center. LaFerriere spins on a dime, finds Heim in the high slot, poked away by Spacek. Mayic's shot easily warded off by the blocker of Volstead, and the whistle sounds at 7:19 of the second period as we get a look at Louis Boudon on his way off the ice.
I've been impressed with him. I've been impressed with Ryan O'Rourke as well. Very physical, getting into the corners and mucking it up a bit, which is, if you're going to be that big and that strong at this level, you got to have that part to your game.
Remember when I first met Ryan O'Rourke, asking him about his game, he said, I am an old school defenseman, and I like to play right on the edge of violence. Here's Sammy Walker. He's in behind with speed, and another huge save by Jurenko once more. Walker has had some chances. That captivating speed of his on display here in the second. Jurenko, though, able to make the stop there on the dangerous Walker. Now it's Chaykovich. He's looked good tonight as well. To the blue line for O'Rourke, trying to find a lane, and does, but the shot blisters wide. Parker slings one down for Chaykovich, receives the hit, spins it in front. The paddle of Jurenko was ready for it, and the Blues will steer away with Holscher out through center. Back for Kian Washkurik, cinches it off for Abramov, whose pass got deflected. He slams it back in front, but the way is shut. Volstead was ready for it, and look out. A little hostility boiling up here. Washkurik and Haight, and they're going to dance. Kian Washkurik and Hunter Haight dueling at the left circle. A big right from Washkurik, and Haight goes down. Kian Washkurik, a third-year pro. Hunter Haight, 19 years of age, has yet to play a pro game. He stands right in the kitchen, though, takes a few, throws a few.
Almost had a second fight. We needed an extra ref.
Well, here's the chance again. Good play by O'Rourke there to ward that off, and then the first, the second whack. Yeah, there wasn't even a third whack. It was more or less just a little bit of animosity boiling over.
You don't want to be the guy that goes back to the bench after your goalie took a third whack. You better make sure that they pay for it. I'll tell you, Sammy Walker, we see him there. He's just all of a sudden hit another gear. I think each of his last two shifts, cutting across, he's had great scoring chances. It's like something just kind of turned a little bit in his head, and he decided to kick it up a notch.
Well, if there's one thing that I saw from Sammy Walker in 55 American League games last year with the Iowa Wild, if you blink when you're defending him, he's gone. And we've seen it, as you mentioned, 2 straight shifts. Sammy Walker has gotten behind the defense as they get a look at that breakaway chance. And exactly onside, perfectly timed, perfectly executed. If he would have waited any longer, the D gets to him. If he jumps any earlier, he's offside. That's not just happenstance.
Right.
Guys work on that.
And the separation he gets in just 2 strides. You can see him get that distance between him and the defense to get a great shot on goal.
Yeah, he gets roaring at all 6 cylinders in a hurry, does Sammy Walker, the former Edina Hornet and captain at the University of Minnesota. Still 5-on-5 after a nice little scuffle there between Hunter Haight and Kian Washkurik. Play continues with Bonifant at the right circle. He scores. A slick wrister under the blocker of Jesper Volstead, and the lead is stretched to 3. So Bonifant, who comes off a year with Schwinnigan in the QMJHL where he scored 16 times, has his first of the weekend and a very sneaky release. And you don't see Jesper Volstead off his angle too much, but he might have been a bit shaded to the left there.
He probably waited. The angle that we have, we don't see it from the front side, but I'm guessing that he waited till he crossed in front of the D to get that goal. Volstead probably hugging the post a little bit. He probably wants that one back, I think, of all of them so far.
So the lead becomes 3. Minnesota trailing after giving up 1 in the first, 2 here in the second. Casey Dornbach, who's been stirring the offensive drink so far tonight for this Minnesota team, desperate to try to find a notch on the scoreboard. Blues will counterattack with Biasca. He'll punch it in behind the net of Volstead. 5:50 to play here in the second in St. Paul. Jeremy Biakabatuka trundling into the right circle to the back post, tied up nicely by the Swedish blue liner, Simon Johansson. And now Rasmus Kumpalainen drafts in. Warding off A check from behind by Alexandrov of St. Louis. Great puck protection. Here's Height in front. Couldn't find Kupalainen. Spot check down from the blue line. In behind the cage for Dornbach. Protecting the puck from Bolduc. Spun off the wall by Bianca Batuka. Chasing forward is Boudin. Instead, St. Louis will counter. Alexandrov couldn't settle down a bouncing puck. Takes a thumping hit from O'Rourke. And now to the point for Mayich of St. Louis. Sent around the back wall. Coming down to get it is Quentin Burns. Turns it back for Dean, who bodies spot check, gets the puck back to the blue line. Here's Mayich again. Along for Burns. Looking off the back wall. That doesn't get in front of the net. Scooped up by Dean. He'll cycle it. Now Alexandrov. Long stay in the O-zone here for the Blues. Bolduc's shot hits O'Rourke, who tracked his man to the point, and now Riley Height trying to get off the other way to the left circle, and a glove save from Jurenko. On the speedy Riley Height, second time we've seen him dash away with some gusto, but he was at the end of a long defensive zone shift there. There just wasn't the hyperdrive needed to get that separation.
And he had just gotten done with a fight as well, which takes a little bit out of you. But that's the right play. If you got the defenseman coming at you, you hope that maybe you take that shot, maybe the goalie misplays the rebound and you get a second opportunity. But Jurenko just swallows these rebounds up.
So Riley Height, second breakaway he's had. Well, pseudo breakaway there. The first one he got hauled down from behind, drew a penalty. Hunter Haight will return here in a few minutes from his fighting major with Kian Washkurik. 4:08 to go now here in this 3-0 second period. Point shot by Gaudette of St. Louis goes off of Damon Hunt in front and off the mesh to the left of Jesper Wallstedt. And Dave, we're going to feature more on Wallstedt during that second period, but I'm curious as we watch Damon Hunt go off the ice, how much buzz, how much talk is there up here during the course of a regular season about the likes of Wallstedt,
so
about
much.
The likes of Hunt,
Yeah.
even though they are playing 3.5 hours away? It doesn't feel that far because they are names on the lips of Wild fans up here, aren't they?
Certainly a lot with Wallstedt because we know what the situation is, right? Right now, there is Marc-Andre Fleury. There is Gus Bus, but they're not going to be there forever. And everyone knows that Wallstedt, at least they hope he is the future. And just looking at him, the way he plays and how quick he is and his angles that we've talked about, he has a very, very high ceiling, regardless of what happens tonight. First game of the season doesn't really matter. But when you look at his whole body of play and what he's done, there is so much excitement around what this kid can do.
Look at the toothless wonder, Pavel Novak. Unfortunately, becomes a bit of a part of life for most hockey players at some point in their careers once you get to the pro level and throw the half shield on. Novak learning it early, though, although they play with half shields on up in the Canadian Hockey League as well.
Do you even bother putting it back in during the season?
A lot of guys don't. They'll play without them. Now here's Leo Luff looking to the net. That goes off a pad, and there's a sprawling kick save by Wallstedt, and another one. First with the left pad, then with the right.
St. Louis is doing a really nice job of clogging things in front of Jesper, so he's not getting a good look at a lot of these pucks.
Well, and most of their chances have come from those really grinding areas of the ice. There's another one right in between the ticks. There's certainly been a bit of a tactic placed in getting in front of Wallstedt in a lot of ways here tonight. They've beaten him 3 times, but he's had some dandies on the way. 2:43 to play here in the second period, and the Blues in control, 3-0 here at the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase in St. Paul.
It is cliche to talk about scoring chances. I feel like Minnesota has had some really great chances. The Blues' goals have been kind of good bounces for the most part, one way or the other.
As Chaykovich steals away, rink wide to Boudin, he'll drop it. Chaykovich tried to drop it in turn. It was intercepted by Alexis Bonifant, who's scored the most recent goal in this game. Abramov back in the first for St. Louis, then Washkurik earlier here in the second, and then Bonifant back at 13:39 of the period. Here's Chaykovich from a shallow angle. That one's notched away by the right shoulder of the goaltender Jurenko. Bouncing puck forces Damon Hunt out to center for Minnesota. 1:43 to play. Riley Height surfing in on the forecheck. Curls one over for Casey Dornbach, plowing his way behind the net. Here's Height near side, and a great blocker save by Jurenko. I don't know how he found that. Hunt with a great move in towards the crease, got tripped up, left it for Dornbach. Along for Simon Johansson. Johansson waiting his way down behind the net. Still with it is the Swede. Up for Dornbach, winds, fakes. Here's Height trying to center it, and he had Hunt there. It was off the skate of Kessel. Now Kumpalainen twirling at the blue line. Immense pressure on from Minnesota. Kumpalainen, a beautiful move. It's tipped in front, and a stop from Jurenko again, and a penalty on the play. Relentless pressure by Minnesota, and when you get in a shift like that, usually one of two things happens: a goal or a penalty. We saw the latter.
Well, what a great save by Jurenko. We had a great angle on it because they were right in front of us. He sticks that blocker out at the last second.
Get another look at it here, and I'm not sure how he found the angle. There's the play from Kumpalainen as well. And the penalty on Kessel to go along with it. What a moment this could be for a power play goal late in the period that could completely change the scope of this game going into the third. Trouble though as Lambos has to hustle. Alexandrov working back on him, and Lambos feels the pressure well and gets a return pass from Spacek, and here comes the Winnipeg Ice defenseman. Boudon, a wrist shot, blockered away by Jurenko again. Dean steals away, shorthanded. Blues have one of their three here tonight. 38 seconds to go in the period. This power play will bleed over into the third should the Wild not find the back of the net here in the next 30 seconds. Petrovsky at the red line. He'll pound this one in. It misses Boudon. And now racing ahead is Wash Kurek. He had the shorty back here earlier in the period. Across for Gaudette. Volstead got there. The shot went wide anyway. 12 to play. Numbers ahead for Minnesota. Kumpalainen looking to Chaykovich in front. It's deflected high and out of play. And a little snarl from Height there to end that last sequence of play. And interestingly enough, when you think about this showcase, and I look back on as we see the pass from Kumpalainen, who's really impressed tonight in my opinion, the Rockford Ice Hogs, the affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. You'll see a lot of players tomorrow and Sunday that are going to wind up there. The rivalry really begins at this showcase. I remember it from last year, and that includes Minnesota and Chicago. Minnesota and St. Louis is a rivalry. Iowa and Springfield, not a rivalry.
Well, you get tired of seeing the same guys. I think that's what it comes down to. You just get tired of seeing the same guys over and over, game after game. You remember a guy's number for a hit. You remember who tripped you. You remember who scored on you, and it just gets angry.
Period 2 comes to an end. A bit of a bitter pill for the Wild prospects to swallow. They're down 3-0 after giving up 2 here in the second. We'll take a breather, and when we come back, General Manager of the Iowa Wild, Mike Murray, joins us to chat about tonight and much, much more. Stay tuned. We got plenty on the way to continue our night here in St. Paul on Wild.com and YouTube. Welcome back to St. Paul through 2 periods on the opening night of the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase here at Tria Rink. It's a 3-0 lead for the St. Louis Blues, headed towards the 3rd period. It's my pleasure to welcome Mike Murray, the general manager of the Iowa Wild and director of hockey operations for the Minnesota Wild, here to the broadcast. And Mike, you and I have had a lot of these chats. I think our first time doing it here at Tria Rink, though, here at the Showcase.
Yeah, I think so.
First and foremost, thanks for joining us. And how's the summer been?
Yeah, you bet. It's good to be back. It's once kind of Labor Day hits and the weather starts to turn a little. It feels like hockey season now. So it's exciting to be back here for this week and the start of it here tonight.
Excitement's the word that comes to mind for everybody. It really does feel like the official, unofficial start, if you will, of hockey season. Not obviously on the scoreboard what you want to see through 2 periods, but certainly some play individually, some bright spots. What has come to mind for you of what you've liked from this team in the opening 40 minutes?
Well, this is exactly what you like to see from this type of event. Not the score right now for us, but you want to see the players put in the position to compete, and then you get a little adversity now, and you want to see how they respond to it. So this is really exactly what you want to get from these types of events, and I'm sure St. Louis and Chicago, as they join us this weekend, feel the same way out of it.
Let's start in goal. Jesper Wallstedt, obviously there's a lot riding on him. There's a lot of pressure on him, as calm as he is to deal with on a day-to-day basis. What are the expectations that have been communicated to him coming into year 2, and what have you noticed even early on about what we saw from Jesper last year compared to what you've seen so far in the early sample size from him now?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just to continue the progression of his development, and that is really at the pace that he will dictate. He will be given that opportunity to continue to take steps in his career, but really it will be up to him and his performance what he does with that. And he's come into camp here. He's in great shape. He had a great summer. We had some visits with him this summer from our training staff and goaltender coaching staff over at his homeland there in Sweden. So he's come in. I think he's physically and mentally in great shape and ready to start the season.
Let's go circuitously around the defense. I want to get there. Let's talk about Sammy Walker. Obviously, really jumped onto the scene. Dazzling year down in Iowa last year. Surprised a lot of people, including himself. What has been discussed with him about what was liked about what he can do, but what he can do differently, better this year to be even more impactful potentially with Minnesota?
Yeah, and what a difference a year makes. He kind of came in here a little bit of an unknown, free agent signing by us over the summer last year. Really put himself on the map last year with the season he had and getting that NHL opportunity, and now it's to take that next step. He had those experiences at the NHL level. Well, now take that to the next level and make an impact. So, and if he is down in Iowa, to continue to become, one of the elite scorers in the league, and you've seen that tonight with a few of his scoring opportunities here. So he's certainly gotten off to on the right start here.
One thing we've seen tonight already, the high-end skill of the likes of David Spacek, Carson Lambos, Ryan O'Rourke, Simon Johansson. The other thing that goes with this skill, I shouldn't leave out Kyle Masters, who's not playing tonight either. He's got some great skill as well. But also the youth. That will likely be a very young blue line down in Iowa. What is the expectation coming into the year about the development of those players? Because it sounds like they're going to get thrown right into it off the opening faceoff.
You're absolutely right there, Ben. They are going to be thrown into it, and it's just a matter of, how long it takes for them to acclimate to the AHL level. And yeah, we have guys, Damon Hunt returning, Ryan O'Rourke, Simon Johansson. They need to take, this is a big step for them from year 1 to year 2 in their careers. And then the kids coming in underneath them, there'll be some bumps and bruises along the way, but they're going to be given that ice time and opportunity to show themselves at the AHL level.
Mike, always enjoy our chats, the first of many that we'll have this season once we get to the Iowa side of things. Thanks for stopping by, and enjoy the rest of this weekend.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
That's General Manager of the Iowa Wild, Mike Murray. And speaking of the Iowa Wild, let's head to another segment from that Becoming Wild session with the Iowa Wild from a season ago.
It's been with a lot of ups and downs and a lot of new different things you have to pick up and learn. I probably myself thought it was going to be easier than it has been, and I think I've kind of gotten to that realization that I have to be very open-minded. I have to be very open with the people around me, how I feel, and get as much help as possible from the people that want to help me. I'm surrounded by lots of great human beings.
There's always going to be a little period of time where you got to get comfortable or find your footing, and that's just human psychology, right? Like it's it's definitely a little tricky, and I think he's weathered the storm in that regard as far as he's coming over from Europe and he's different ice sheet, and obviously these guys are a couple years older than 20 years old, so he's done a great job as far as adapting, and you can definitely tell the past, 3-4 games, he's not necessarily looked like a different goalie, but he looks more comfortable and looks a little bit more at ease.
Hockey is so much more than what happens on the ice, and that kind of put me in the right direction on the ice as well right now. So I'm trending in a better direction right now, I would say.
All right, Wally. Yep. When you're ready, we got about 5-7 minutes, no rush. Good eyes, good energy, good mindset, and we'll get it done, all right? Yep. Good eyes here. There it is. The biggest thing is you just see how comfortable he's starting to become. And I think, hockey aside, moving across the world, and there's a lot of adjustments outside of the rink alone. He's learned what to expect day in, day out, and he's become comfortable. Now you're really starting to see it in his game. He's confident, he's big, he has a good presence about him now that he's settling in.
No! Good crack.
As I got here, I'm definitely a big Minnesota fan right now also as a prospect. So after games, I hang around a little bit on Twitter, reading whatever is going on too. So I don't know if it's for the better, but as I said, I'm a big hockey nerd, so I'm very interested.
Marco is going in thinking he's the star of this. Oh, Becky. Wow. Give it to me. I want it. I got it. I want it. What a glove save.
Yeah, right? Like, he just goes about his stuff and says what he wants and does what he wants, and yeah, it's pretty great. He gets a little grief from some of the guys every once in a while. Kind of a little bit of humble pie, but it's maybe just what the doctor ordered too, who knows.
Good job there, big guy. Good job with that back leg. Yeah. Perfect. Right on, money on both sides, really good.
Oh, that was a good morning skate.
Good morning, skate all.
Whoop.
Oh, you good?
They didn't see the step. I missed the step.
Kind of a dot coming in, change the angle, work on changing your angle, whether it's inside out, outside in, getting that shot off, okay? And then we'll do an escape and kind of work that.
Going back to before that taxi squad season, playing with New Jersey and playing a lot of minutes in the NHL, then all of a sudden that just came to a quick halt. For me, that kind of felt like I was starting to cross that bridge from the minors into the NHL, and over the course of 19 months played 3 games leading into my second year with the Wild.
Make sure you use that one.
It's really just a unique circumstance. Learned a lot about, myself, about the world, about everything. And, throughout that, my family grew, and then different stuff that have led us now to here.
Come on, Adam. Yeah.
Being the captain here in Iowa, I've loved my time. Des Moines is a great city. The staff, the guys in the room, they know what I'm going to bring on practice days, game days. It's consistency. At this point in my career, I'm not the rookie anymore. I've been around, I've played in different situations, so I like to think I have some good experience that guys can lean on if they need it.
Hirossi on the man advantage, leads all Griffins. Mermis walls off Zarnik. And a great play from Mermis, bolts the puck loose. Walker going in uncontested, has Rossi driving the net.
Come on.
He waits to his backhand and scores! A sensational goal, shorthanded from Sammy Walker.
That was fun. Same thing you did to the player. Yes. That's it.
This guy.
6:43 to go, and the Griffins out of sorts. Iowa has been just exceptional recently, and it continues into tonight. Backpedaling to the blue line. O'Rourke at the left point into the high slot. Sweeney in front of the net. Fogarty has time. Patan's wrist shot scores! 3 in the second period from the Wild, and the Wild running away with it here in the middle period. Now Hirossi marching into the left circle to the net, slides it over Volstead. Are you serious with that save? A left pad that came out of thin air. A 4 multi-point performers and a 24-save shutout for Jesper Wallstedt, the first in his North American pro career. And the Iowa Wild have swept away the Griffins here at Van Andel Arena.
Hey, kick, Wally! Hell yeah!
Thank you, brother.
First shutout, and Benny the Jet here. Let's go, Wally!
There's always something special about going on the road with the team. You get to know everyone a little bit better.
Flying out there. No, great game, boys.
Like being so far away from home, Iowa and the players around there and the staff around it has kind of become my second family.
Heck of a weekend. This would go to a lot of guys, but this guy was pretty fun to watch, Petey.
I don't know, there's something about it that's just enjoyable, and you kind of get to peel back the layers of the onion a little bit as far as like getting to know a guy, his family, all that sort of stuff, because man, you're on the road, there's nothing else to do but hang out with each other, and it's the best.
I couldn't do it yesterday.
Great win, let's get out of here.
We'll be playing cards. Because it's after a game and it's 8 hours home, I don't know if we'll play it the whole time. Hopefully we get some pizza on the bus. I'm a big believer in pizza post-game.
Those ones, they hit you hard when, you're rolling at, 4 to 5 in the morning, or, I got a young one at home, so I'll be up early the next morning where those guys can sleep in, so sometimes they get a little rowdy, and but noise-canceling headphones are a nice touch.
If you want to check out that entire of Becoming Wild, you can do so on our Minnesota Wild YouTube channel. One player a lot of people have been interested in Iowa is goaltender Jesper Wallstedt. He did not disappoint in his rookie campaign, but he's not a rookie anymore, and he's now the veteran in the locker room. He spoke with Ben Gisselson about that this week.
Jesper, what's it been like being one of the older guys at the showcase now, being looked up to like you have coming in previously? You've been the younger guy, you're not necessarily the veteran, but you are the veteran when it comes to showcases now here this year at the showcase.
It feels a little different. It's still only my second year here, but try to be a leader. I try to lead with a good example and try to get the whole group together. I want to be like kind of an internal leader in this group and help everyone with whatever they need, but also try to focus on mine. But I definitely think the team aspect of it is very important. So I want every single one of the guys here to feel involved and try to compete at their best.
The Jesper Wallstedt in your first year of North American Pro Hockey. We saw who that was. You had some incredible games, some incredible numbers down in the American Hockey League last year. Who is the Jesper Wallstedt we're seeing now in year 2 of North American Pro?
I'll definitely try to take the next step. Definitely try to get as close to maybe knocking on the door up, or even try to make their decision as tough as possible to send me down if that's what it takes. I want to make themselves question themselves on if the decision is right, and try to make it as tough as possible. I want to really be challenging this year and compete at my best, and then as soon as the season starts, we'll see where I'll be, and I'll try to go from there and do my best every day.
You split time last year in the American Hockey League. You're looking to command the net this year. I would imagine that is your goal. What does commanding the net and being the #1 goalie look like to Jesper Wallstedt?
Preparing yourself to play every game throughout the whole year. Even though you maybe can't, I want to be prepared and be ready to take the net every single night and just be confident and show the team that I'm ready every single night, and try to have a great impact and being the one the team can rely on to get the wins.
Jesper, always appreciate time, and good luck this week, and we'll send it back upstairs. On our way to the climax of our evening here in St. Paul, a 3-0 deficit facing these Minnesota Wild prospects. The St. Louis Blues have the lead. Ben Gislason and Dave Schwartz welcoming you back to Tria Rink here in St. Paul. And the old adage is it starts with one, Dave, and that's what Minnesota's looking for here, and they will begin trying to finish a 53-second penalty kill to start the period.
The chances have been there, Ben. They've had good scoring chances, as another one almost had it happen right there. And when you look at the goals that St. Louis have scored so far tonight, they're just in and around the net squeaking by. They just have to convert on one good one and open up the floodgates a bit.
Well, on a power play here, pardon me, had that wrong to start the third. Got to shake off the broadcast rust a little bit too from an off season full of golf and fishing.
You're doing great. I'm learning from you.
Damon Hunt, who is one of the few characters I'd throw in this category of you need to rely on the players that have been at the showcase before, let alone at the pro hockey side. Sammy Walker, Max Trajkovic, who has it now, centers one in front. He's got some pro hockey behind him too. There's Matthias Laferrière's in the other way for St. Louis. A feed looking across the crease mouth was knocked away. 9 seconds to go here in Minnesota's power play. Kumpalainen with a big wrist shot just wide of the net. Penalty expiring in a second. Here's Kumpalainen behind the net. A deft pass in front. Had Hunter Haight been a lefty, that would have been a great chance, but he shoots right. Power plays up. Wild go to 0 for 5 on the night. Shouldn't be surprised the man advantages haven't been all that great for either team, considering these players have played with each other for 2 days. And so 5-on-5 hockey will rule the day once more here in the opening 2 minutes of the third. Novak, great speed, tracks down a loose puck in behind the net. The point for Johansson, slings it back around. In the way is Majic, tied up by the Czech-born Novak. Nifty breakout pass there off the wall by Abramov. He's had a nice night for these Blues. Scored the opening goal back in the first and has been involved in some offense since then.
You know, for a guy who hasn't played hockey in a full year and change, we've certainly heard Novak's name quite a bit tonight. He's around the play. He's around where the action is every time.
Simon Johansson, minding his schooling as a young defenseman, watched the body, not the puck. Did so there on that one-on-one rush. Made things simple for his fellow countrymen and Jesper Wallstedt. Fast friends, Jesper and Simon, both being from Sweden. The other player that spent a lot of time with those two last season, Marco Rossi.
A name that Wild fans are aching to hear more of up here in St. Paul.
And I believe this season they will. Has had a great offseason, I've been told. Looks thicker, stronger, faster, and confident.
Which is saying something, because he was all those things. Maybe the confidence is still getting there, but he's never looked small or weak at any level.
Biaska's wrist shot from the left point. Patted away by Jesper Wallstedt. 17:30 the time here of the third. Minnesota chasing this game 3-0. As Brett Budgel collides in the corner, knocks the puck away from Bonifant, and here is Ryan O'Rourke away to center. Riley Height. Headman's down behind the net, lost it, getting to it is Dornbach. Tried to center, but he swung and missed on the pass. Gets back to it. Budgel holds the line. Budgel, a two-way AHL signing. Could see some time with the Iowa Wild this season, as well as the Iowa Heartlanders east of Des Moines, over in Coralville. As Bolduc traipses in, tries to go to his forehand, and an opportunity for Alexandrov. He was tied up, and a delayed penalty has been signaled down on the ice by Andrew Brueggemann. It is a hooking call, and Minnesota will go back to the kill here early in our final period.
And Max Trajkovic looks like he took that one up a little high, too. Lucky it only got him in the side. It didn't quite get him under the visor. Oh, the penalty's on Sammy Walker.
Hooking call to Sammy. He'll sit for two, and the Blues will try to turn the lights out here on any kind of a comeback early in the third. Fourth power play opportunity here of our contest for the Blues. Now Dean looking cross ice, had Bolduc creeping in. And another example of the expert positioning of Jesper Wallstedt, who had the paddle down on that near post and denied the pass right in front of his net.
And Ryan O'Rourke, too. You don't love to give up your feet in that scenario, but really.
And a beautiful pass from LaFerriere, and Alexandrov slides home an easy gift wrap pass. What an outstanding feed from the right circle by the Montreal-born 23-year-old. That was a dandy all the way across, and Alexandrov crashes the paint and makes it 4-0. First power play goal of the night for either side, and the Blues have not shied away from offense no matter the numbers out there. They've got a few even strength goals, a shorty, and now a power play marker. For the ever-dangerous Nikita Alexandrov, was the top rookie scorer for Springfield last year in the American League, and he's made his mark on this game here tonight.
You got to account for every guy when you're in the zone, and I think Caleb Parker knew where he was, but he got behind him. Not a whole lot Jesper Wallstedt can do in that scenario when it comes right across the crease for a backdoor tap-in.
So a 4-0 deficit now. Minnesota frantically just looking for, as we mentioned, off the start of our third period, just the first one. Sweeping away through center ice for St. Louis is Tanner Dickinson. He lost it. Here comes Louis Boudon. He blazes into the left corner and takes a punishing hit along the wall by Love. And now out away through center comes Dickinson. To the near side for Washkurik, who has one of the 4 goals tonight here for the Blues.
The little Pierre-Marc Bouchard spinorama there.
Washkurik avoids what would have been a second walloping hit from Hunt. He landed one earlier in the shift. Gaudette pinches down. Spacek cuts the play away behind the net, gets a return feed from Novak. And he'll take a breather behind his own net, just shy of 5 minutes into the third. St. Louis stretching the lead moments ago with a power play strike by Nikita Alexandrov. Minnesota on the attack. Kupalainen, who has not shied away from shooting tonight. He finds the midsection of Jurenko, who's had a busy evening. He strutted his stuff. That one pretty simple from what we've seen mostly from the Russian tonight.
And I feel like a lot of these shots from about the second and now into the third, they're farther out. They're not penetrating. They're not getting into that blue area to get some really great opportunities like we saw, like we've seen out of St. Louis. And that's the challenge. It's penetrating that defense to get some A1 scoring chances on a goaltender who, frankly, is playing very well tonight.
Important to note, too, I've been told there's only one way to get in skating shape, and that is to skate. And not that these players do not skate all summer long, but it's nothing compared to what they're accustomed to during the regular season. So the third period, you could see some weary legs setting in here a little bit, and that will go both ways. Lambos waltzing the line, finds Johansson. He lets one fly, and a shot blocked by Marc-Andre Gaudette. That'll turn into offense the other way. Holscher leaves it for Abramov. Drags one in towards the slot, looking for the creeping Bitten, and it's pounced away to center. A tandem hit on Dornbach, but he gets the puck back at the Wild logo of neutral. Here's Hunter Haight screaming into the right circle. He scores! Hunter Haight has the first one, and it's 4-1 on a beauty.
Hunter Haight's going to get that goal, but Casey Dornbach had a heck of a shift on the back check to start the puck out of the zone, makes a beautiful pass right on his stick. That's a great play, and that's what you need to break through a little bit. Now you're on the board. Now everyone relaxes a little bit. Yeah, Dornbach with a beautiful pass right on the stick of Haight to go in. It's just a great wrist shot right over the leg pad far side.
The Strathroy Ontarian, 19 years of age, tickets the weak side with a wicked release on that wrist shot. He throws Jurenko and finally cracks that goose egg that was on the Blues netminder's mantle all night long. 4-1 the score. Hunter Haight has the opening goal of the weekend for the team in green.
And I know all of these players are young, but can you imagine being 19 and trying to play and playing on this stage with some of these guys? Yes, they're young, but most of these guys, a lot of them 20s, they're men. And he's 19 years old. That's a great play.
Now Biasca twirls one in front. This one's stoked out to center. And I'd add to that point, you have people like Bill Guerin watching you. Al McInnes is here. Doug Armstrong is here. Craig Berube's here. Dean Evison's here. I mean, you're talking, there's a lot of big-time hockey people that are here in this building that are watching you play. Pretty incredible moment for a lot of these young men, certainly this weekend, both for St. Louis and for Minnesota, as Kessel hustles back for an icing whistle against the Wild. Just under 13 to play here in a now 4-1 third period in St. Paul.
And now everyone can just kind of breathe a sigh of relief. You know you can score. You know the puck goes to the back of the net. Now you just got to do it 3 more times.
Blues win the offensive zone face-off. Looking diagonally from that far wall is Alexandrov, who has looked the player that has had most NHL time. You felt that. You can see it in his game. There's confidence. He knows he's one of the higher echelon players on the ice here tonight. He's had a really nice evening. Here he is on his own left-hand wall. Spiked away by Petrovsky of Minnesota. Hunt will gap up on Bolduc, who slides this one in. Kalen Parker goes to get it, has a little trouble. Now it's Dean. Parker recovers. Dean gets it back. Along for Alexandrov in front. Hunt ties his man up. Bolduc to the blue line. Michael Bushinger stutter steps away from Novak. Down for Alexandrov, who has the wrong geometry on that bank pass, but Parker turns it over. Here's Dean, over for Bolduc. Back to Dean, they score. Sensational passing, and turnovers kill as the Wild have a malfunction in the high slot, and the top line for St. Louis makes Minnesota pay. A quick strike back, and the Wild deficit returns to 4.
Yeah, you had a bunch of guys who I also think were at the end of their shift, getting a little gassed. Great passing. Really great pass right across the crease, and Zach Dean just puts that one right home. Another one. Another backdoor, wide open, just kind of a tap in.
Well, that is a look at 2 first-round picks. Getting it done right there. High skill. Zach Dean selected in 2021 by Vegas. Plays with sensational speed and can certainly pass, but he finished that one. Bolduc made the play. As Love will dart away for St. Louis. 17th overall, Bolduc selected in 2021 by the Blues. Dean came over in that Ivan Barbashev trade from Vegas, and what a trade that was for Vegas. Certainly he was such a crucial part of that Stanley Cup win that they had this past season, but certainly Zach Dean looking to be a great player for the future as well.
Vegas coming out great from a deal. I feel like maybe I've heard that one before.
Just an amazing spectacle they've put on.
They really have.
Out in the desert. Got to go to a game there a couple of years ago when we had an off day playing their farm team in Henderson. And my, what a show. Goodness.
They know how to party out there.
Walker shut down point blank by the glove of Jurenko. He's had oodles of chances tonight. Jurenko's had his number all game long. Couple of body checks on the attack for St. Louis here. Kozier trudging through, gets it out to center. Stamped back in by Abramov. Kozier glides his way ahead for Walker. Back for Brett Budgel. He tiptoes across the blue line and gets finished by Mayich, and there's an offside whistle against Minnesota with 10:24 to play here in the third period.
Vadim Jurenko is 6'4", 176, and you could see it really well on that play. He takes up so much room, and when he comes out and he challenges the shooter like he did there with Sammy, Sammy did the right thing. He went high glove side away. That's all he had to shoot at, but he takes up so much space.
Jurenko backed up one of the top goalies in the American League last year in Springfield in Joel Hofer. Certainly St. Louis's goalie of the future, of the near future. But Jurenko had himself a decent year with American League Springfield last year. As Petrovsky corralled behind his own net. Working on him is Alexis Bonifant, one of 5 goal scorers here in this game for St. Louis. We've crossed the halfway point here in the third period, halfway home, and a 5-1 lead in the hands of St. Louis here in hostile confines at Tria Rink in St. Paul. Great crowd per usual. No Connor Bedard needed for tonight's good crowd, although I would imagine if he does play in either tomorrow's game or Sunday's, it'll be a great showing.
You love to see people getting the opportunity to watch AHL, NHL, big-time hockey when they might not normally have it. And there's a lot of kids here with jerseys, and this is a great opportunity, and it's so much closer than the normal action you get to see at the X. You really get an appreciation for just how big these guys are and how fast they play.
The game happens a lot faster down on the ice when you're ice level like so many of these fans are. Than even though there isn't a bad seat in the house at the X, you're a lot, like you said, a lot further away from the vantage point. It's very
even
up
from
close
our
and intimate
vantage
here.
point. When we first got up here, I said, these guys look so much bigger to me because we're right on top of the ice.
Looking at Maxim Chaykovich. Lost it to Dickinson of St. Louis at center. Bushinger ladled long for Bianca Batuka. Bouncing puck picked up by Matthias Laferriere, who had a gorgeous assist earlier here in the third. Swooping in is Dickinson. Gets a shot off. Kicked away with authority by Jesper Wallstedt. Dickinson still working with it. Matt Kessel, high slot. Good spot there by Casey Dornbach, and my, have I mentioned his name a lot tonight.
He's had a really good night in terms of the forward spot. We've talked so much about the D, because although it's hard to imagine that saying so much about the defense in a 5-1 game, they've still played well.
Here is Dornbach, 4 years at Harvard before playing his grad transfer year with the University of Denver last season. Had a cup of coffee with Iowa to end his collegiate career last year. This one's pounded in by Burns of St. Louis with 7:42 to play here in a 5-1 third. To get it is Wash Kurek. Cut away from Novak, lost the puck. Skied through center by Lambos, and a little too much on that. Not quite the English he wanted on that chip shot.
He almost hit one of the beams, one of the rafters.
A play that I think even at the junior level, most buildings you play in don't have the low ceilings like this.
You don't have to worry about it.
You instinctually think you can sky that puck like that, but you're right here. There are ceiling rafters in play in this building. It is a practice facility. So an icing call against the Wild, and 7:29 remains here in the third. Simon Johansson now looking long lead for Louis Boudon. Boudon beats the icing whistle out and tries to sculpt this puck away from Leo Love in the far corner of the St. Louis zone. Love with a terrific breakout pass, has Wash Kurek. Now down in behind the net. Johansson tries to cycle. He lost it, trying to cut away with it. It was Holscher, defended well though by Novak, who came down to support Johansson on the defensive side, and now it's Kosier. He'll hoist one away to center. Turnover, chance for Haight. He has one already, trying for an assist this time, but his feed was out of the reach of Chaykovich on that back post. Clearing attempt held by Spacek. He'll rim it around, closing in on 6 to play here in the third. Haight's on it, as is Biasca of St. Louis. Majic tied up by Walker behind the net. Chaykovich takes it loose, tries to drive it in front, defended well. Off the crease by Burns. The puck squirts away to center. Bitten chases it down. Parker clambers across for him. Haight back to get it. Ties up the forechecking presence. Down low of the forward Alexis Bonifon. Spiraled away back to the Blues blue line. Bianca Batuka D to D, lunged ahead and punched in by Bonifon. Now Kalen Parker on the angle ahead for Riley Haight. Slapped back to Rasmus Kumpalainen. Drags his way across the offensive line into enemy territory. Another beautiful breakout pass, and the Blues have done that well tonight. They've gotten out of their zone with some strong, not only defensive plays to break up the offense of Minnesota, but there's been some very elusive breakout passes out of their own corner. That was an example by Bushinger, who's facing some pressure now. Haight turns it over in front for Dornbach, and the shot was just wide, and a broken stick on that to boot. Now it's Bolduc. His pass intercepted. Novak has sprung Riley Haight on a breakaway to make it 5-2, and he's denied by Jurenko. Looking 5-hole was the Prince George Cougar, and Jurenko stays perfect on breakaways tonight with a big stop.
What else can you do? Make a couple of head fakes and try to go low blocker, low leg pad side, but A great pass by Novak off the boards. Tried to. It looks like maybe he thought he could get 5-hole on him.
I think he just misfired.
Well,
Sent it a little left
too.
because it felt like, not that we're by any means breakaway experts, you and I, Dave, but trying to get the legs to spread open there and slide it 5-hole with that little dip of the left shoulder. Give Sharenko credit. There wasn't a lot of daylight there. Now some daylight brewing, though, for Novak, who's in. Nice back check by Kessel. Point shot off the tape of Kozier is blocked by Andre Heim, and it bounces back into Minnesota's zone with 4:30 to play. Here at a 5-1 third. Blues in command.
Yeah, Sharenko has really just been a star tonight, and he leaves very little room for error, plays his angles so well. You can see him there at 6'4", when he spreads the pads. There's nothing there to shoot at.
Carson Latimer knocks down a hoisted puck through center. Johansson receives a D-to-D pass from Spacek. Puts an arrow ahead to the far blue line, but is turned over, and back in prancing is Washkurik. He'll go against the grain, knocked out of the air by Johansson. Latimer, met by Holscher, and David Spacek will speed away up his own right-hand wall on the tape of Brett Budgel through center. Nice gap at the line there defensively by Sam Bitten, and Washkurik recovers in his own zone. Passes in the skates, though, of Holscher. Pardon, that was Mayich, 94, not 84, who steps into the play there, knocks the puck loose. The Wild will change a few members of the line here. Hunter Haight coming back over the boards, the lone goal scorer tonight for Minnesota. Bushinger just barely avoids harassment on the back check by Walker. Ahead come the Blues. Bitten finds the marching feet of Holscher in front for Bitten. That was in his skates. 3:07 to play here in this third period. Game 1 of the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. Plenty more action to come this weekend. Blues and Blackhawks tomorrow at 6 p.m. And the matinee matchup on Sunday Fun Day, 3 p.m. Minnesota and Chicago right here at Trier Ring.
Well, St. Louis is, I just kind of noticed this, how the pressure that they're putting when they get into the zone, all three forwards down low, which is why we're starting to see in this period a bit, and in the second, the Wild are getting a forward sprung up by the red line, and they're being caught low, but St. Louis is doing such a nice job on the back check and not giving up many, if any, odd man rushes.
Haight back for Hunt with 2:20 to play here in the third. Landon Kozier ahead for Riley Height, dashing in. He tries to split the D, and a nice stick check there right in the nick of time by the defenseman Mayich. Now Zach Dean looking back towards the front of the net off the skate of Damon Hunt. Blue line shot from Bianca Batuka, deflected in front by Dean, but no problem for Jesper Wallstedt, who settles that down with 1:56 to go here in regulation.
I know the score is 5-1, but there is still a lot of good things. And keep in mind, too, first game that all these guys have played together. But some good opportunities and a lot of things I think you can take away from this, things that you can learn. But again, this will get better. The product will get better the more they can play with each other.
Kupalainen looking to break up the play for St. Louis out of their own zone. Fails to do so. Bianca Batuka dribbles one down off the back wall. Punched ahead by Ryan O'Rourke and scooped up by the Finlander Rasmus Kupalainen. Great patience from Kupalainen. Keeps it away from the back-checking Dickinson. Carson Lambos straddling his way across the blue line. He'll veer this one in with a $1:20 to play here in the third. Intercepted at center. Louis Boudin blazing in. 2-on-1 with Petrovsky. He'll fire, and the shot is wide. Boudin in the middle of some offense again. He's had some moments tonight. As Spacek collects with 1 minute to play here in the opener. Kessel back to get it behind his own net. Lobbed ahead and punched north, but not out. Nice recovery by Novak. Spacek will hold the line on Holscher of St. Louis, and Caleb Parker picks it up and leaves it for Brett Budgel behind Jesper Wallstedt's cage. Spacek pops one out to the red line. Battling forward is Novak. Recollected by Washkurik of St. Louis with 28 ticks to go. Parker to Carson Latimer off the bench, screaming down the right wall. He sifts one in front, looking for Budgel. He was tied up. Now a 3-on-3 developing for St. Louis. Shifted in by Washkurik. Abramov knocks one into the air in front. Kozier knocks it away from Holscher. And with 7 seconds to go, Wild looking for a door prize here at the buzzer. It's sculpted away. And the St. Louis Blues will grab the opening win on the opening night of the Tom Kurvers Prospect Showcase. A 5-1 victory here for the Blues. Dave, your thoughts? 60 minutes in the books. Certainly you look at the scoreboard, you go, but both teams will walk away and they'll have a lot to talk about tonight about two very good prospect pools.
And they put a lot of good things on tape, and that's what we knew coming in, that this defense was going to be probably a little bit stronger than the offense on the ice, and they played like it. And we saw and heard a lot from Carson Lambos, from Damon Hunt, from David Spacek, and they played exactly like we thought they were going to tonight.
Now, it's been a real blast tonight. Not the score you want, but undoubtedly a fun way to kick off the official start to hockey season. As you're seeing on your screen, lots more action coming your way. Chicago and St. Louis tomorrow. Wild will get the day off. No broadcast on our end. The Blackhawks will be handling that. Joe O'Donnell will be on the call on Sunday afternoon with Wes Walz for a 3 p.m. matchup, Minnesota and Chicago, a rivalry that we all love. And only time will tell. Will we see Connor Bedard tomorrow? Will we see Connor Bedard on Sunday? Will we see Connor Bedard at all? I think we will. I think we'll see him at some point.
From a fan standpoint, you certainly hope so. And it's good for the game to get him out there and see what he can do in front of all these fans that want to see him. And probably don't want to see him succeed here in Minnesota, but still want to see the talent that he has.
Final takeaways for me. Jesper Volstead looked sharp in a lot of occasions tonight. Loved David Spacek's game on a lot of times. Casey Dornbach stood out as well. Nice goal from Hunter Haight. Lots to be excited about for this Minnesota Wild prospect pool. And Dave, this was a blast tonight. Thanks so much for joining us and for providing us a great night of hockey as the Minnesota Wild and St. Louis Blues duel tonight. Put your final thoughts on this one, partner.
A lot of fun. Good to have hockey back.
Thanks to all who made tonight possible. For Brandon McCauley, Dave Schwartz, and everybody here on our broadcast, I'm Ben Gislason bidding you a fond farewell and good night from downtown.